Hello! I do not have very much time this week. This is because Pepper has a lot of doctor's appointments coming up, and I'm not sure when they're going to be or how they're going to be, so I need to finish my videos, quickly. So, I figure I'm going to do a minis tier list. This isn't scripted. I haven't, planned it. Probably based on the fact that I'm going and you can hear Alphador snoring in the background. Here we are, a minis tier list. We've got S, A, B, C, D, and the Dark Forest. This is just going to be how much I personally like them, but I'll give reasons for it anyway. I have no idea. Anyways, starting with Ashfur. Ashfur's probably my least favorite mini. I think that the face is cute. I think that the, general aesthetic of it isn't bad, but it doesn't look anything like Ashfur. It's long-haired, it has the wrong eye color, it doesn't have any spots on the front, and it's just generally... It's so inaccurate in ways that are, unlike pretty much any of these other minis. I think in almost every single case, I can justify why the mini looks that way, except for Ashfur, who doesn't really make much sense. Ocelot has arrived. He's upset that I'm being mean to Ashfur because Ashfur's his favorite character in Warrior Cats. Anyway, there's Ashfur. He's in the Dark Forest. Next up, we have Scourge. I think Scourge is an excellent mini. We're putting Scourge up in A. I like how Scourge doesn't have any, weird, unnecessary markings on him. I like how Scourge doesn't have, pretty much anything to make him look overcomplicated, And I don't really mind the maroon collar that he's got. I never cared about what color Scourge's collar is. Apparently it's canonically purple now. They actually said purple in the books. But you know what? It does not matter. Now we got Blackstar. I don't like Blackstar very much. This C is probably a negative C. It's not a positive C or a neutral C. He's just got lots of unnecessary lines on his head. And you can't really see them in this picture, but... He's just not... He's got too much stuff. Here's Bluestar. Yeah, I think Bluestar's also kind of a negative C. It's not that I dislike her, it's that I think that she's just a tad bit less pretty, not pretty, a little bit less appealing than the other minis. I like that she's not a terribly light gray, which would definitely put her farther down, and I like that you can actually see the graying muzzle and stuff like that, but otherwise, Brightheart is a pretty cute mini. Gonna put her in B, a positive B. I don't have very many complicated thoughts on it. The way that Brightheart gets portrayed one way or another doesn't matter to me as long as you can tell she's Brightheart, and you can definitely tell she's Brightheart. Cinderpelt, negative C. It's not that she's bad, it's just that pose. What is she doing? Ocelot, what is she doing? Why don't you sit with me? Why don't you sit with me while I do this? You sit on my lap, okay? That way... You don't have to yell at me from the floor. Okay, you can yell at me from the floor. You can do it. Cloudtail, the Dark Forest. I think you guys already know. I don't like him. I think that he is very, very ugly. Honestly, no. You know what? I don't like Ashfur more, but at the same time... I can't do it. I can't let him be next to him because just the difference in the quality of their faces isn't... It's not fair to the Bad Ashfur mini to be compared to the Cloudtail mini because the Cloudtail mini just doesn't look good. Crooked Star, positive B. I like that he's got his little mouth. He's not like, they really could have copped out on this one and they didn't, and I really appreciate it. And I think he looks pretty good. Crowfeather, aside from everything, I actually like the Crowfeather. It's not that I think that it's a good choice, because I don't, and I think I made that clear in my review, but that's really funny. It's just really, really funny looking. And the more you look at it, the more you're like, wow, they made him look hilarious. Not like if you look at Cloudtail, you think, okay, that's not funny, that's just sad. But you look at Crowfeather and you're like, that's hilarious and that's excellent. Darkstripe, that's I'd see again. It's really just he's Darkstripe. He doesn't look bad or anything, so I don't really want to put him any lower than C, but I don't know. Who even thinks that Darkstripe is long-haired? Not me. The original Mini, Firestar, definite D. He's not terrible, he's not unredeemable, and when Week came out, we didn't really have anything that existed that would have, like, been a representation of something that looks better than him, so it's hard to be upset with him. Like, obviously, if this came out now and this was a Firestar Mini after all of these other minis, I would be like, wow, this is really ugly and bad and I don't like it. But it's the first one, and the real problem is that it's cluttered. All of this clutter, these huge whisker pads, this stuff all over him. I got a comment on my last video, something about about him like looking like he had a kangaroo on his head, and I think I can kind of see the kangaroo. Like, these are its feet, and this is its head, and these are its big buff kangaroo arms. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it's supposed to be a flame of some sort, probably, and not a kangaroo. I don't even know if you could see, like, this is probably not coming out well, me examining if or not there looks like a kangaroo on Firestar. Anyway, he's not great. He's definitely D. Speaking of which, here's that not great Frostpaw. If her eyes were focused, I'd put her higher, but I think that she's also kind of a D. She just doesn't look right. Like she was traced from one of these other minis and didn't come out correct. Graystripe is also D. It's just like those original ones. He's got the tangent that goes from the corners of his mouth and creates his mask, and it just looks strange, and it's too much detail, and it's not really, like, in any sort of, like, it's not in any sort of cohesive design. He just kind of looks put together, so he's not great. And I think that he is better than a character like that he does look better than the Firestar. Not that these are in any order, but he's just he's one of the original minis. He looks a little funny. Hawkfrost, another D. He's got no chin. I don't think he's very pretty. I think he's very, very ugly. Ivypool, God. So I didn't really like Ivypool when she was new, and I still don't, because here's my big problem. She's got one shade of peach on her nose. She's got one on her scars and one on her ears. And it's not that I think all three of them should have been the same color. But what's weird is that she's got a scar and eye things that are both weird and pink, right? But then her nose is another color and her ears are another color. So we're looking at a cat who has all of this same pink clustered up in the middle of her face, but then two different pinks in other areas. It feels strange. I think like maybe the eyes and the nose could be aligned, or maybe the scars and the ears could be aligned. Anything that like lessens the amount of pinks we're using, because they all seem very randomly chosen. Ugly Jayfeather goes here. Just canonically incorrect. Jayfeather sits with Ashfur in the Dark Forest. They're the same design from like a design principle sort of point of view, but while this one's just ugly, this one bothers me because it's impossible. It's as if someone looked at the first Jayfeather and was like, we could have a way cooler Jayfeather than that if we gave him the stick that he breaks and the scar that he gets after he breaks that stick together at the same time. Nonsense. It's nonsense. Leaf Pool, definitely D. I just, if it weren't for this nose thing and these long, I just went over this. I was just went over this in a video, and no, don't, there's some issues, there's some problems, there's some things that I don't like about her. Leafstar, also D. Too much going on. She They improved from these. Like this one, this one, this one. They started here and they got better eventually, but it took them a minute. Longtail I think is pretty good. I'm gonna put Longtail in like B. I really appreciate Longtail. Maple Shade. That's the Dark Forest. It's that's an ugly mini. There's a lot going on here. One is like her weird oval head, but then her eyes on said weird oval head, the lack of chin, and the way that she's got spots that are the same color as her eyes. And I know that Spotted Leaf has that going on too, but it's a lot more obvious on Maple Shade. Alright, and then Mothwing. I like this Mothwing. I don't care that it's got the divoted nose, because the divoted nose lines up with these things that are going under her eyes. It makes her look like an older woman. I think that is kind of cute for her. I'm putting her in B, actually. Alright, Mudclaw is a pretty good mini. Just, just the perfect amount of detail, I think. Nothing is, like, too crazy overcomplicated like it is on a lot of these guys. And all of the proportions are very cutesy. I know that calling Mudclaw cutesy isn't ideal, but Ravenpaw's perfect. Ravenpaw looks the best, I think, pretty much out of all of these. Again, no unnecessary detail, a cute identifying factor to show you that this is in fact Ravenpaw. It's just good all around, and really, really cute mini. Sandstorm I think is good too. Sandstorm definitely looks like Sandstorm. There's a lot of detail on Sandstorm, but it's all kind of compromised up here. It's not going all over the place like it does on someone like Firestar. This little scar I could probably do without, but it's an imperfection, a cute imperfection on something that's otherwise very together, so it makes her stand out. Okay, Spotted Leaf. I think Spotted Leaf is probably C. She's the better one out of the most recent set, and I don't really like how her eyes and her spots are the same shade, and I don't really like her stubble. I do think that she's pretty charming, especially if you, like, turn her around. Squirrelflight, I just have bias. I like Squirrelflight. She has way too much going on, okay? Like, don't get me wrong. This is too much all around. But it's Squirrelflight, and I'm just glad she got one, so I can't help it. Like, I look at her and I go, oh, I love this Squirrelflight, even though it's... I guess it could have been worse, you know? It could have looked like, the plush Squirrelflight, where there's, like, 10 different colors going on in every body part, or it could look like... You know what? Squirrelflight came out before the nose line change, so, yeah, no, she's perfect, she's ideal, I love her. Tawny Pelt. She's another one of those first set minis, and she's something. Tiger Star. I think that Tiger Star is probably a little bit better than the rest of the first set. And I don't think I had that opinion when it came out, but now I definitely do, just because he doesn't have too much going on. Depending on which... I'm not actually sure if both of them actually came out, but depending on which Tiger Star you have, you may or may not actually have eye surroundings that are the same color as the fur. I think it's an addition thing, but it might have also been a beta prototype thing. I'm not really 100%. And Yellowfang. Ugh, I don't know. The Dark Forest, maybe? No, I can't do that to her. I can't. She's D. She's D with most of the cats. Actually, you know what? Here's what we'll do, because I feel bad for the D cats. We're adding a row above the D cats, okay? Oh, okay, yeah. We're adding a row above the D cats. I'm gonna change its color to some other color. Alright? This is gonna be middle. Alright? Changing a couple of these. Because it's not really terribly fair for Frostpaw to be in with these guys, because she's not that bad, you know? Same with the Leaf Pool. I really think that... I know that I went really, really negative on the Leaf Pool, and I really don't like this change, but it's a difference between us coming forward from minis that were better versus introducing minis that, didn't have any competition. So minis like these guys, like Gray Stripe and Firestar and Leaf Pool and all of these, they are badish, but they're not competing with anything. They didn't come out at the very these ones didn't come out at the very beginning of minis, These guys did. And that's really the difference. And that's why I can be a lot harsher with the new ones than I was with the old ones, because then we have all of these examples of these better minis that were a lot more appealing, or just generally looked a little bit more coherent and less spaced out. But yeah, these old guys, they've got too much going on. They really, really have too much going on, so it's not really fair to make them fight the other ones. So these guys, they don't really, you know what? Now that I have a middle, some of my C decisions are looking a little funny too. Yeah, Ivy Pool's sitting with Leaf Pool. And, yeah, Blue Star's sitting with Leaf Pool too. It's really just a question of, how much does this mini have overcomplicating it? Do you know what I mean? So, I know I always sit here and I ask, do you know what I mean, to nobody. But it's about how much unnecessary detail there is. And there's tons and tons of unnecessary detail on these guys. And if you look at Ravenpaw, he's exactly what Ravenpaw should be. There's no issues there. And while I do like that they're experimenting with new molds, I don't dislike that Crowfeather has a unique face. That's not my problem at all. I think you could have pulled off this unique face perfectly well with a style that doesn't make him so realistic looking. Anyway, here's my minis tier list. What I am saying is, these guys, they're pretty low detail compared to these guys. They're not terribly overcomplicated. They don't have too many unnecessary cuts, besides, obviously Crowfeather, who I like because he's funny. Tiger Star's going in the middle too. Tiger Star's going in the middle too. Sorry. I just looked at them again. I'm going to just keep fine-tuning this the longer I have it open. But what I am saying is, the less unnecessary cuts, the less unnecessary detail, the better the mini looks to me. But anyway, I like unique molds. I really enjoy them having unique molds, unique faces, unique facial features. I think that that's all really cool, and I think that if they can do that without making them ugly specifically, that would be ideal. But yeah, here it is. These are guys I don't feel terribly strong about. These are guys I don't like. These are guys I pretty much like-ish. Or at least these are guys I pretty much like-ish. Anyway, minis. Wish Pepper luck on his doctor's appointments. Sorry for the bad video. See you guys later.